Look at our civilization. Look at the crown jewel of the Holocene. We have built a world based on the assumption of stability. We build our glass towers on coastlines. We plant our crops in predictable seasons. We have convinced ourselves that the climate is a flat line and that history is over. But to the planet Earth, our civilization is nothing more than a brief, warm afternoon. It is a fever dream called an interglacial. For the last 2.6 million years, the Pleistocene epoch, Earth's default setting has not been warm. It has been ice. We are currently living in a temporary pause, a glitch. And buried deep beneath the ice sheets of Greenland and Antarctica is the history of what happens when that pause ends. When the temperature drops, the rules of biology change. The cute, adaptable generalists we know today, the raccoons, the foxes, the humans, we are merely the peacetime government. But when the war of the elements begins, nature declares martial law, and it calls upon the specialists, the giants, the monsters. People often ask, is the Ice Age really coming back? The answer isn't in the weather report. It is in the geometry of the solar system. We are tethered to cosmic cycles known as the Milankovitch cycles. First, there is eccentricity. Every 100,000 years, Earth's orbit stretches from a circle to an oval, pulling us away from the sun. Second is obliquity. The tilt of our axis shifts. When it stands up straight, the poles stop receiving sunlight. And third, precession. The planet wobbles like a dying top. When these three gears click into alignment, the solar energy hitting the northern hemisphere drops. The snow that falls in Canada and Scandinavia doesn't melt in July. It stays. The next winter, more snow falls on top. Within a few centuries, the trees are crushed under a glacier a mile high. This isn't a theory, it is a clock. And right now, we are staring at the mechanics of a shutdown. The trigger is likely the Atlantic Meridional Overturning Circulation, the AMOC. It is the radiator of the Western world, bringing warm tropical water to Europe. But melting fresh water from Greenland is clogging the engine. If this current collapses, and some models say it could happen this century, the global average temperature doesn't matter. The local temperature in London, Berlin, and New York will drop by 15 degrees Celsius. The Ice Age doesn't creep in over thousands of years. It kicks in the door in a single lifetime. To understand the future that awaits us, we must exhume the past. The last time the ice was here, the ecosystem was ruled by the megafauna. These weren't just big animals. They were biological tanks, engineered for a specific kind of warfare. Consider the Smilodon populator, the creature pop culture calls the saber-tooth tiger. But calling it a tiger is an insult. A tiger is a generalist. The Smilodon was a specialist. It wasn't built for speed, it was a wrestler. It was built like a bear, designed to slam into massive prey like bison or camels and pin them to the ground with immense upper body strength. Only when the victim was totally immobilized did the weapons come out. 7-inch canine teeth. These teeth were fragile. They couldn't hit bone. They were surgical instruments designed for a shear bite through the throat. Death in seconds. Then there was the tyrant of the plains, Arctidus simus, the giant short-faced bear. This was the largest mammalian land carnivore that ever lived. But unlike modern bears, which are plotters, the short-faced bear was a pacer. It had long, lanky legs. It was built for endurance running. It could smell a carcass from the next county, and it had the legs to get there before anyone else. It was a bully that let others do the killing, then used its sheer size, standing 12 feet tall, to steal the prize. And we cannot forget the American lion, Panthera atrox. Forget the king of the jungle. This was the king of the continent. 25% larger than modern African lions and possessing higher cognitive functions, it didn't just hunt, it waged campaigns against the herds. So, where did they go? The disappearance of the megafauna is a crime scene, and there are two suspects. Suspect 1 is the climate. The ice melted, the steppes turned to forests, and the big clumsy animals couldn't adapt. Their specialization killed them. But suspect 2 is us, the overkill hypothesis. Humans arrived in North America and Europe just as the animals were stressed. We didn't fight the saber-tooths directly, we ate their food. We burned their habitats, we starved the giants to death. Why does this matter for the future? Because if we killed them, it means their biological design wasn't a failure. They didn't go extinct because they were obsolete. They went extinct because of bad luck. Which means, if the conditions return, the design is still valid. Nature is not creative. Nature is efficient. When it finds a shape that works, it reuses it. We call this convergent evolution. If you need to move fast in water, nature gives you a torpedo shape, whether you are a shark, a reptile, or a mammal. This is the key to the return of the monsters. We don't need to clone a Smilodon from ancient DNA to get a saber-tooth cat. We just need a large cat and the right evolutionary pressure. Evolution can happen explosively fast. In a crisis, background selection vanishes. It becomes adapt or die. Imagine a population of modern jaguars forced onto a frozen plain. The trees are gone. The small prey is gone. The survivors are the ones who are stockier, the ones with thicker fur. Within a few thousand years, a blink of an eye in geological time, the jaguar morphs. The spots fade to white. The forearms thicken for grappling. The teeth lengthen to penetrate thick hides. The Smilodon is reborn, wearing a different skin. It's called atavism. The genetic code for these ancient features is often still there, just switched off. Deep in the DNA of a wolf is the code for the massive bone-crushing jaw of the dire wolf. The Ice Age doesn't need to invent new monsters. It just needs to flip the switch back to on. We don't even have to wait for the future. The monsters are already waking up. In the Arctic, we are seeing the rise of the pizzly, or growler bear. As the Arctic warms temporarily, polar bears are pushed onto land and grizzlies push north. They are meeting, and they are breeding. These hybrids are fertile. They have the swimming ability of the polar bear and the aggression and heat tolerance of the grizzly. In a world where the ice line fluctuates wildly, which is exactly how an ice age begins, this hybrid is the ultimate survivor. Now let's run the simulation. Let's look at the world of tomorrow. The year is 3,500. The Anthropocene is a memory. The glaciation is at its peak. The sea levels have dropped, leaving New York Harbor a dry, frozen plain. The skyscrapers are hollow shells jutting out of the ice like broken teeth. Who lives here? On the plains, massive herds of shaggy beasts trudge through the snow. They look like bison, but they are the descendants of the feral hog. Following Bergman's rule, they have grown to the size of rhinos to conserve heat. In the urban ruins, a different creature moves in the dark. Without humans to check their population, the raccoon has claimed the caves of steel. Intelligent, dexterous, and omnivorous, they have grown to the size of black bears to defend their territory. Imagine a bear with human hands, capable of prying open any container. And stalking the frozen herds is the snow leopard 2.0. The descendants of the thousands of captive tigers and lions that escaped when society collapsed. They have hybridized, combining the social structure of a lion with the cold tolerance of a Siberian tiger. They are the apex predators of the frozen apple. And us? What about humanity? Humans are tropical apes. We are hairless, we are slow, we have small teeth and no claws. We survived the last ice age because we had two superpowers: fire and cooperation. But we have softened. We rely on a global supply chain. When the ice returns, the population of billions will crash. The survivors will be those who can relearn the old ways. But in the eternal winter, we are no longer the masters of the planet. We are the refugees. We are part of the menu. The earth breathes. In and out. Hot and cold. It is indifferent to our cities and our stocks. The ice is a reset button. It clears the board. The monsters are coming back. In fact, they never really left. They are sleeping in the genes of the animals around us, waiting for the frost to wake them up. The only question is, will we be here to greet them?